Do you
Yeah,
think
add
when
to
he,
that.
sorry, I just want to ask one question about that because of what Naveed just said. So do you think when he says that Lot isn't far from you, did he mean that they're like the people of Lot, or do you think that he meant that in the time frame they weren't that far away?
What verse is this?
The one you were just talking about when he says,
Jesus.
don't be like Noah, don't be like them, and the people are a lot of
Oh,
Lot
they're
are not
not.
far from you. So you think he
Yeah,
was
that's
talking about like it was really close in time, or that they were similar to their actions?
that's really interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm leaning towards saying that it's closer in actions, behavior, his overall position of belief. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong,
I
but that's
I
interesting.
understand.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I understand it the same way. I think it's in actions. That's my personal take. So one has something different. Definitely open to it. Um, but I wanted to add something else regarding what Navid said. It'll come to me, but oh yeah. Timeline wise, so yeah, this shows like we don't have any indication that Hud or Saleh had the Salat. But Shoaib, it seems like he does have the, from the verse 87, he does have the slot. That means that Hud and Saleh most likely were before Abraham, and then Shoaib was after Abraham, similar to Lot, because biblically Lot was Abraham's nephew.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about the verses we read? Chapter 11, verse 84 through 95.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
I have a comment about verse 91 where Shuaib's people said, "We do not comprehend many of the things you are telling us." That's also very interesting. Given the fact that they, at least time wise, they knew of the peoples who preceded them, and they knew the disasters that befell them, and they obviously know what they know the seriousness and the gravity that they should worship God alone. When it says, "We do not comprehend many of the things you are telling us," this suggests to me that you see, when people choose disbelief and opposition to God's laws, eventually they lose all awareness, not only of what is correct, but they lose awareness of their true selves. They lose the ability to understand the truth. And we know in Surah Baqarah, God says they become deaf, dumb, and blind. He seals their hearts. So they can no longer see the proofs and they can no longer benefit from the warnings. Thank you.
I wanted to make a comment as well. It's this importance of, when we're doing business, that we're doing it in an ethical framework. So much of trust within society revolves around business. People trust the institutions, the businesses they deal with. It really tears away at the fabric of society. And once that's lost, you're not going to have a productive society. If each person is only fixated on their short-term gain at the expense of, the trust in society, it's a level of selfishness that just, very quickly will deteriorate the entire society. I think of the petty example of package thieves, at least like in the U.S. So Amazon delivers the package. Kids go around, they're looking at basically deliveries from packages, and they swipe them because they think it's such a, you know, um, low risk crime. And realistically, like, what do they get? They get some home supplies, maybe some clothing or something like that. And what happens to the overall society when that takes place? It's like now, every time you see someone walking on your street, rather than thinking like, oh, this is just like a neighbor going for a stroll, it raises the level of suspicion. Everyone basically is on edge about each other. They think ill of each other. And eventually it's going to get to the point where the costs are going to go up. People aren't going to be shipping goods anymore, and the whole thing, this blessing that you have, ends up going away. And why? It's because a few people, wanted to basically take the upper hand at the expense of the overall society.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Can you hear me?
Cool.
Oh,
Okay, we can hear
welcome,
you, brother.
Salam.
Okay, mashallah. I want to make a comment on verse 84, inshallah. And what I'm looking at here is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi a'udhu bika min hamazati shayatin wa a'udhu bika rabbi an yahdurun. To Midian, we sent their brother Shuai. He said, "O my people, worship God. You have no other God beside him. Do not cheat when you measure or weigh. I see that you are prosperous, and I fear for you the retribution of an overwhelming debt." So what I'm looking at here is, apart from worshiping God, even measuring correctly and weighing correctly to give the people the right measure and the right way. If people who cheat the people out of, if traders would cheat the people out of their right, this means that this can lead them to the retribution of an overwhelming day. Is this what the verse is talking about? Because it means that not just idol worship, all the commandments God has given us in the Quran leads us to righteousness. And if we violate such commandments, this could lead us to the retribution of an overwhelming day. Is this, am I correct to think this way? Thank you.
Ibrahim, if I understood your question correctly, you're saying, is this beyond just the trade? I didn't fully understand the question. Maybe someone else can chime in too.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, when the people that cheat, because whatever we do in our lives, God will test us by whatever we do in our life. God will hold us responsible by whatever we do in our life. If I am a businessman, God will test me. God will hold me responsible from the way I, you know, uh, offer my own business. If I cheat the people out of my own business by not giving the right measures, the right, you know, practice, God can hold me responsible for cheating, for, you know, taking people's money illicitly and put me in hell. This is what I'm looking at here. When Shoaib said, measure and weigh, you know, accurately, because they give you their own money. So give them the right measure, the right way. If you don't do that, you are cheating on them. God can hold these people responsible for cheating other people and put them in hell. Because Shoaib is saying, I fear for you the retribution of an overwhelming day. If that will not lead the people to hell, I think this statement may not even be here. So in essence, whatever we do, whatever business we are into, we have to be careful how we, you know, treat people, how we, you know, observe God's commandments in everything we do, in every business we do, in wherever we work. You know, if we put cheating ahead of us, then it will lead us to hell. That is what I'm understanding here. I stand to be corrected.
I think there is validity in the aspect that God puts us, tests us by the things that are within our grasp, our shortcomings, because that's where the growth needs to happen, right? Um, if I don't have a problem with, let's say, backbiting, then it's not going to be much of a test. But if I do have this opportunity where I can have like the upper hand, I think I need the money, and it seems like um, a crime I can get away with, and there's no repercussions. That becomes a test, right? But the aspect is, are we willing to be fair and just under all circumstances, right, to all people? There was someone gave a sermon at our masjid a while ago. I thought it was really a funny story. What he was talking about, he says, look, we read the Quran and we all say we believe. Then we sometimes fail for the most petty things. So he was saying that he was at a Kinko's. This is like a printing place, and he went to print a document. He only needed like 2 copies, and he actually put the wrong side of the paper. Right? It gives him 2 copies of the back side, and he's like, "Oh man!" So he flips the paper and gets the right copies. Then he goes to the front to pay. Like, how many copies did you make? And he's like debating with himself, and he's like, 2 copies. And then so he pays, the 10 cents or whatever. And then he leaves and he's like repenting. He's like, what did I do? I sold my soul for 10 cents. Like, I should have just told the guy I made 4 copies and then, had them decide this and that. He felt really bad. Like, God, I'll never do it again. And he said that he had a loaner car at the time because his car was getting like an oil change or something like that, or some mechanic work done to it. And he's driving and a pebble hits the windshield and it makes this like, crack. And he's like, "Oh man, like, I'm gonna return this car. They're gonna charge me for this." And he's like debating what to do. He's like, "Okay, okay, I'll just won't say anything. If they notice, I'll fess up." They drops the car, and the guy's like, "Oh, you know what? Actually, we're gonna need your car for one more day. So, just keep the loaner." And he's like, "Oh man, this crack is gonna grow. It's gonna expand. This is bad." And so he's sleeping at night. He's like struggling what he's gonna do. And he says, "Look, I gotta be, steadfast to God." He takes the car in, and he's like, "There's a crack in the window. Like it happened while I was driving." This guy's like, "Okay, cool, no worries." It's like nothing. And it's one of those things. It's so trivial, but something like that can dictate if someone, where their faith is. If he was fearing the repercussions of the dealership and the cost and this and that, it shows just like how petty we're willing to sell, our integrity, our souls for. Few printed pages of paper or crack on a windshield.
I had a comment about verse 91. I see parallel for us today. They said, "Oh, Shuaib, we do not comprehend many of the things you're telling us," right? And we see that you're powerless among us. So look at the excuses they're making. They don't understand a bunch of stuff, and they see that the people, this group is powerless. This is a lot of what we hear today. There's a lot, God says this is a heavy message. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of concepts to grasp, understand. And they're using the inability to understand some topics or concepts as a reason to reject God's message. And that's a big mistake. I think that when we are coming to God's message, we make an overall evaluation and we determine that this is the truth. And then with regard to many things, we need to be patient. We need to be willing to not have the answer right away. And sometimes it's taken me a few days or a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's taken 10 or 20 years. But if we say, this is the truth, this is correct, I'm just going to wait, I'm going to try, obviously, God willing, but I can just wait until God lets me see it if he even wants to. Maybe many things we're not going to see it. I talk about this all the time that like there's no requirement to understand everything to go to heaven. That's not a requirement. The requirement is to be righteous, is to submit. That's the requirement. So this is a very important concept. So these guys are just arguing with Shuaib. They don't comprehend. Full comprehension is not even a requirement. It's not a necessity. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about the verses we read? Chapter 11, verse 84 through 95?
I still want
Actually,
to.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
oh, oh, thank you. Uh, he repeated one command twice to be fair in the trading. He did it twice and did it in in two different ways. The first one, he said you shouldn't short people when you weigh, and the second one, he said you should do it properly. Why did he repeat that? This is the first comment. The second comment is, I think, I think the 40, verse 48. Yes, of course. The fact that they are short in the weight, I think it speaks about the culture at that time that they were competing. That this is it reveals like the tip of what they are actually doing. Because they are rich. He said they are. He sees them as rich, and it's not about they're not shorting people because they actually need it, but because they want to compete, and that's why he stressed it. I'm not sure why, but he stressed it twice. First, he said, "Do not short people when you weigh," and then the second time he told them to do it properly, but like the same command, and he said it in two different ways. That's something I don't understand, and yeah, this is my comment.
Okay.
Does any go ahead, Navi.
No, go ahead, please.
I think Ibrahim wanted to make a comment as well. Ibrahim, you there?
Okay. We can just keep going. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the verses that are read?
I wanted to make another comment. This aspect of do not cheat the people out of their rights and to weigh equitably. I think one of the mistakes that we often make, and you see this in Surah 83, where when it comes to someone our side of a negotiation, a bargain, or something like that, we want all concessions, all the best favor, but then when it comes to the other side, um, we expect them to concede everything. If you look at Surah, just put in 83, verse 1, says, "Woe to the cheaters who demand full measure when receiving from the people, but when giving them the measures or weights, they cheat." And it reminds me of this quote: "Says, we judge others by their actions, but we judge ourselves by our intentions." Meaning that, like, again, we're not being equitable when we do that. Because when it comes to our actions, we give ourselves every excuse and every reason. Oh, I was thinking this. They don't realize like how I was feeling at the time. I was tired. I was blah blah blah. But then when it comes to someone else, we basically treat their actions solely. We don't give them any benefit of the doubt as far as their state of mind, where they're coming from, their intentions. And I see that as being unfair when we trade. We should treat ourselves with more scrutiny and give more leeway to other people. I mean, that's the ideal, right? Any other comments or questions about the reading? So we read about Shoaib, 1184 through 95.
Yeah, I want to just add a little to what I have said before from that 84, 85, 86. And why are people, doing what they are doing is because they want to accumulate wealth even in the wrong way, illicit money. That is why they cheat the people out of their right. And for the believers, God is giving us a very strong advice, very strong news in verse 86 that we should not behave like the ignorant one. In our businesses, no matter how small it is, that we should appreciate it. Because if we are truly believers, anything that is from God, is a blessed one. But for those who would, cheat the people and amass illicit money, the end result, the end of their lives will not be good. With all that they have accumulated, it will come back to haunt them. It will, become a miserable ending for them. So God is, directing the believers to really be conscious of what they do and what they want to achieve in life. Yes, mashallah, this is what I want.
Praise God. Regarding verse 91, they told Shoaib they don't comprehend the things he's telling them. But, I'm wondering, how truthful do you think they're being there? Like, do you think they actually don't understand what he's saying? Or are they like, or they do understand, but they just want to, like, discredit him on the spot and just pretend like he's saying nonsense?
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes
in
when you preach
verse,
to the people, okay, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
oh, thank you. In verse 78, they complimented him, didn't they? They called him the wise. Surely you are known for being clement, wise. So they know he's competent. They know he's a wise person. That isn't just saying things out of thin air. So how would they know he's wise if they don't understand what he's saying? I think it's about their priorities. They have this over. How do I say it? Dopamine. I don't know how to say it properly, but it's like in stock markets. When you win, you have a dopamine rush. When you lose, it's bad, and you're kind of addicted to this competitive feeling. I think they have this investment in this lifestyle, and they prioritize that over what Shuaib is trying to teach them, trying to with AMLM, trying to tell them to follow. So it is. I think it's about. I think they know, but they would rather prioritize something else because they feel I don't know, I'm not sure about their intention, but I think it's about their priorities, their choice.
Can
Yes,
I say
I agree
something?
with you, brother. I agree with you, brother. They understand the message Shuaib is, passing to them because look at 87. They said, "Oh, Shuaib, does your religion dictate upon you that we must abandon our parents' religion or running our businesses in any manner we choose? Surely you are known for being clement. Why?" They
I
really
think
know that Shuaib is knows that what they are doing is evil. It's not good. And Shuaib is there to purify their businesses so that they can appreciate whatever that they can make out of their business instead of cheating the people from their
I
right.
think
But
Sister
if,
Rose is trying to say something.
can I finish my own?
Yes, please.
Thank you, brother. So they know that he is there to purify what they are doing, but because they are not interested in that purification, so this is why they are saying all that they are saying, just to tell him, don't waste your time, don't even go there. We are not ready to do that. MashaAllah. Thank
So
Interesting.
I just had an interesting thought that maybe when we're talking 1191 and he says that they don't comprehend many of the things that he is telling them, it may relate to 1189 when he's like, you know, don't incur the same disaster as people of Noah and the people of Hud, and that Lot is not too far from them. Maybe they're not aware of what he's speaking about with these past disasters. Because, you know, it's not like they probably didn't have a history book to know exactly what had happened with all of these. They didn't have the Quran, obviously. So maybe they're talking about, like, we don't understand what you mean by, like, we're close to the people of Lot, or don't be like the people of Noah. You know what I mean? So I was thinking maybe that's what they were talking about when they say they don't comprehend what he's telling them.
Well, my argument was that the reason he's telling them is because these stories are well known at the time.
Possibly.
E- Everybody knows about Noah, they know about Hud, they know about they know what's going on. So he's saying, look, they all got struck with disasters. Don't fall into the same mistake. Back off.
So this has obviously happened after the people of Lot, or he's saying you're like these people. And these people, maybe Lot hasn't been destroyed yet, because
Actually, this
the
is
other one,
yeah.
you know what I
Oh,
mean?
actually,
Because if
that's a
he's
good.
saying,
Wait. Hold on a second. That's actually really interesting.
so if
So,
he's saying you're like the people of Lot, but Lot has
mm,
not been destroyed yet, they could be saying they don't understand what he means by how are we like these
yeah,
people?
yeah, that's interesting. So, we talked about this before, Peter. Is it possible that this is a I don't know the term in English, where it's like two events coinciding with each other? So, for example, we know the people of the cave, they overlapped Prophet Muhammad for a couple years. And then is it
Mhm.
possible that the people of Lot are overlapping Shuaib? Is that grammatically possible in this sentence or no? I'm
It's
looking into it.
possible. Yeah, I mean, it's open for it's not out of the realm. It could be a timeline that their timelines do like there is possibility of correspondence. One of the debates is if Shuaib is Moses' father-in-law, right? Like the Quran doesn't say
Who's
one way or the
whose
other.
father-in-law?
Moses,
Shuaib
because
is
they're both
Moses'
Midian.
father-in-law?
Yeah. So like
Okay,
historically, some say
that
that it's
wouldn't
the same
work.
person, some say it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
but that
Quran
wouldn't
doesn't
work.
indicate.
That wouldn't work with the Lot narrative because Lot and
Correct. Yeah, but
Abraham
we
were
don't know if it's
together.
true, right? Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know.
Right. Okay, so but then it's also possible to read it as yeah, all these people were already destroyed and they're all before Shoaib. So Noah, Hud, Saleh, Lot, they're all in the past. But when you get Lot, then that really pushes Shoaib into the after a lot of this stuff because Lot is again, it's after Abraham. So that's so I mean after Abraham you have um Isaac, Jacob, or Ismail, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and then a couple hundred years later, you have Moses, Aaron. So it's like that's a pretty close time frame because after that, you get into David, Solomon, and then Jesus. So so this is interesting. And if we're gonna say, I always thought of Saleh and Shuaib as like some Arabian kind of. Well, I guess you're saying it's Midian, so that's different. But yeah.
Yeah, they're all part of it seems to be Nabatean, right? So this is a different lineage than Ishmael, but living in the Arab Peninsula. Like they have historical archaeological signs to where these locations were.
Yeah,
Assalamu
and he
alaikum.
does say like it's comprehend many of the things you're telling us. So it could be both, right? He could be like there could be saying like, well, how are we like these Lot people? We don't get it. And at the same time, we don't understand what's wrong with our business practices, right? Like this is how we've done it forever. We don't understand why you're telling us that we're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? So it could be multiple things because they say many of the things that he's telling them, not just one thing, but multiple things.
I think my understanding it had to do with theology, but Mr. Brother Douglas Brown, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I think that when it says they claim they do not comprehend, in many respects, this is just an abject denial. It's denial. It's what typically many people do when they insist upon not acknowledging the truth. They absolve themselves of any responsibility by simply saying, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? What are you referring to? If we notice in verse 92, Shuaib responds to them and says, "O my people, does my tribe command a greater respect than God?" So they obviously know who God is, the one God. They know about what happened to the peoples that preceded them and disasters that preceded them. We can also, God willing, assume that they knew in general about the sins and discretions these people committed, how they violated God's law. So again, in verse 91, I see when they use the excuse they don't comprehend, this is simply the culmination and result of denial and refusal to accept the truth. And because they insist upon their ways, God gives them guidance in that direction. God does not misguide anyone. The person chooses to be misguided, and God allows them to continue in that way. So basically, it's not really, it doesn't seem to me, it's not that they don't understand what Shuaib is saying. They choose not to want to acknowledge what they should be doing and obey God. And so they make up these excuses, these denial, these defense mechanisms. Thank you. Because
Thank you.
may I add something to that? Because God also tells us in the Quran, He does not cause any retribution to befall a people before He sends messengers and before He sends guidance. So God definitely, His law is that He doesn't cause a community to suffer the retribution until they are told the truth, until they are told what is correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions or comments about the person that we read?
I wanted to make a quick comment regarding just the last verse from the reading 95. It says, it was as though they never existed. Thus Midian perished, just like Thamud had perished before that. It's hard for us to grasp. We look around, we say, oh, wow, it's so developed. How is this possible that God can wipe this out? And we don't realize, like, if you take the most advanced civilization, a very short amount of time, if the people are gone, the entire kind of infrastructure, everything just crumbles. As if it's like it's not even there. It's really humbling. It's in that sense. And I put this is from Psalms 9. It says, my enemies turn back. They stumble and perish before you, for you have upheld my right and my cause. Sitting enthroned as the righteous judge, you have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. Endless ruin has overtaken my enemies. You have uprooted their cities. Even the memory of them has perished. Right? You think about how many of these societies, these are the ones that God mentioned to us, ones that God never mentioned, that, had these amazing achievements. They were stronger, they were more prosperous, more productive. They're just gone. We use their homes, the ones that do exist, their tourist destinations now. Right? You have these like amazing rulers and kings who are so powerful for their time, and now their homes are in ruins, and tourists walk around and take photos.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, we
Wait,
can
I
load
have
the.
something.
Okay. Okay. Just sneak up on me. All right, go ahead.
Sneak attack. So I was just Googling the word from 91, the word comprehend. There's also a formal meaning of it that means to encompass. So they could be actually saying, we're not encompassing what you're saying about us, right? They could be saying like, we don't comprehend that. We're not encompassing, including or comprising of any of those things that you're saying to us. So, I mean, we have to look at different meanings from the word. We know what the word means that we use daily, but there's other meanings to that word. So they could literally be saying like, we're not actually doing that. We're not encompassing that. We're not comprised of the same things that those people before us have, that you have mentioned. Just an afterthought.
All right.
Well, all right then.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Otherwise, we can move on to Moses. All right. So we can load the next batch of verses from 96 through 108. Does anyone want to volunteer to read these verses? Sister Suja, you're here. I haven't seen you for a while. Are you interested in reading?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, I don't mind reading. Yes.
Peace be upon you. God bless you, sister. Yeah,
Inshallah.
okay.
Auzubillahi
All right.
minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. 1196 Moses. We sent
Yes.
Moses with a signs and a profound authority to Pharaoh and his elders, but they followed the command of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's command was not wise. He lead his people on the day of resurrection all the way to hell. What a miserable abode to live in. They have incurred condemnation in this life as well as on the day of resurrection. What a miserable path to follow. Lessons to be learned. 100. This is news from the past communities that we narrate to you. Some are still standing and some have vanished. We never wronged them. They wronged their own souls. Their gods, whom they invoked beside God, could not help them in the least when the judgment of your Lord came. In fact, they only ensured their doom. Such was the retribution enforced by your Lord when the communities transgressed. Indeed, his retribution is painful, devastating. There should be a lesson for those who fear the retribution of the hereafter. That is a day when all the people will be summoned, a day to be witnessed. So, do we stop here, Navid?
No, keep going to 108. Thank you so much.
We have appointed a specific time for it to take place. The day it comes to pass, no soul will utter a single word except in accordance with his will. Some will be miserable and some will be happy. As for the miserable ones, they'll be in hell, wherein they sigh and wail. Eternally they abide therein, for as long as the heavens and the earth endure in accordance with the will of your Lord. Your Lord is doer of whatever he wills. As for the fortunate ones, they'll be in paradise. Eternally they abide therein, for as long as the heavens and the earth endure in accordance with the will of the Lord, as everlasting reward. MashaAllah. So, anyone would want to reflect on these verses?
Please, you have priority. You read. God bless you. From 96 to 108, chapter 11. Please go ahead.
So, here again, throughout the Quran, God keeps on showing us, how the various the various communities and the various, the retribution for, disbelief and disobedience has been, and it's just a warning. I believe to all of us that, God keeps on reminding us, and God, being the most merciful one, wouldn't want us to ever uh, choose wrong or make wrong decisions and go to hell. So these reminders you would find throughout the Quran with, talking about the, about Pharaoh, about more, about the various communities which were, destroyed um, for the disobedience they had towards God. So I believe, isn't this enough for all of us to actually, reflect on, and I think these verses are quite straightforward, and mashallah, is a warning for all of us that we need to be very, very, very careful. Uh, Whatever we choose, we do, we tell, we speak, we follow, inshallah. That's it. If anyone else would want to reflect on these verses, thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions or comments about the verses we read?
Peace be upon everybody. I'd like to add to what Sister Suja just said, that we have to be careful. I want to reflect on verses 97, 98, and 99. So here it reads that they followed the command of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's command was not wise. He will lead his people on the day of resurrection all the way to hell, what a miserable abode to live in. So we just have to be very, very careful who we follow and what we follow, right? So whoever, whatever that is not authorized by God, we just have to be very, very careful, because these things or these people can just lead us all the way to hell. So that's my comment. Thanks. And this is also reminded to us in 101 as well. When it reads, their gods, whom they invoked besides God, could not help them in the least when the judgment of your Lord came. In fact, they only ensured their doom. Thank you.
Fantastic. And if we see in verse 100, it says lessons to be learned. As Sister Suja correctly said, we need to ponder on our decisions carefully, our judgments, our decisions, our determinations, right? We want to live a godly life. We want to make the best decisions in light of the circumstances, in light of what God has revealed to us. This is very important. If we stop and think, ponder, reflect, these are all good actions to take. Somebody else trying to make a comment?
Salam alaikum. I have a question about verse.
Go ahead.
I have a question about verse 104. It says, "We have appointed a specific time for it to take place." And we know that only God knows the exact time of the day of judgment, the end of this world. We also know that one of the missions of the messenger of the covenant was also to reveal when the end of the world will take place in 2280. And I'm wondering, does the we here, this is again, like I said, simply a question, simply an inquiry. We have appointed a specific time for it to take place, and whether or not this also could be referring to the messenger of the covenant. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My name is Hakeem, and I just was listening to the verse. Now, first of all, I want to wish everybody and tell everybody peace be upon you. I hope everyone is having a great day. I'm listening to the study and the comments, and everything is just sounding so wonderful. And I would like to chime in on what I just read. I noticed that God, first thing he put was Moses, and it's just to remember that Moses was dealing with a people who were so used to being in bondage and accepting things as they were. And it's just like us, when before we got the message, we was accepting, different things like Sunniism, Shiitism, the hadiths. And now the clear proof has come. So we have to be careful about slipping back, because if we slip back just a little bit, if we let just a little bit of that stuff come in, it'll grow. So I have to be on my deen, on my real deen. And now I got the real path, the real deen. So I have to be careful. And I think that's what God is also reminding, because the Israelites, they was going back. They still had, they got out of bondage, but they was still had a heart that was still bringing them back. So I have to be careful what I listen to when I'm on the internet. I have to be careful what I listen to when I'm around other brothers, because I still want to tend to go back. That's what I got out of it.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Good reminders. Anyone else have any questions or comments about the verses that were read? I guess all the way from 84 now through 108.
Me.
Go ahead.
Anyone else gonna? Yeah. Basically in the same vein, in 97 it says to Pharaoh and his elders, he sent Moses with our signs and a profound authority. Pharaoh and his elders, but they followed the command of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's command was not wise. So here you have the contrast. You can follow, someone who has authority from God, or basically just someone who has worldly authority. And you see most people, they follow the individuals who have worldly authority rather than the direct command, from someone who has the authority from God to deliver the message. And it reminds me of the verse 931. They have set up the religious leaders and scholars as lords instead of God. Others defied the Messiah, son of Mary. They were all commanded to worship only one God. There is no God except He. Be He glorified, high above having any partners. So this is the choice, we have. God is giving us the Scripture, the messenger, to see whose authority do we want to abide by. If we choose to follow the authority of some scholar or someone who's not authorized by God, or someone who has as a Omer was writing, right, celebrity status or some influencer, we're showing where our priority lies. These people have no authority from God. They are not commissioned to be, to judge on these matters. But God's scripture, God's messengers, they are.
Wanted to echo what Brother Peter was saying. Verse 96 and verse 97 seem to contrast with each other, right? Moses, he had the signs and he had the profound authority. Pharaoh did not have the signs nor the profound authority, right? They just still chose to follow Pharaoh, and like Brother Peter said, his command just was not wise, right? Compared to an omniscient God, an omnipotent God, one who backs up what he's saying. Following the humans will often lead to misery, right? Eternally. I do like that he says with a profound authority, right? If you read the Arabic, he does use the word for authority there, right? So it's not just a message, right? But it's a vested authority in this person from God, and the believers will recognize it. That's all I want to say.
Anyone else have comments, questions about the reading? We started from 84, and I believe we read up to 108, right?
There's something else I noticed. Verse 101. Sorry to interject if I just stopped, but we never wronged them. They wronged their own souls, right? People think God put us here and that He's causing us misery, right? If He's running the world, then why did He make my life miserable, right? If He's running the world, why did He make me disbelieve in Him, right? Satan makes the same mistake, right? He says, "You made me a disbeliever." Right? He blames God for his disbelief. Right? And God says, I never wronged them. They wronged themselves. Right? It's us. We make the choice, the active choice to disbelieve, to steer away from God. And I think this is what this verse is trying to tell us. Right? They invoked gods beside God, who can't even help them. Why would God help them when it their turn came, when they returned to Him? Why would He choose to help? Praise God. Go ahead, Brother Peter.
I wanted to make a comment about verse 96. So on verse 96, you see it says, we sent Moses with our signs and a profound authority. What is that authority? Right? The signs are one thing. So the signs are what activates the authority. That's the legitimacy. That's what my understanding is when it comes to the messengers of God, is that they have the profound authority. So we talk about that. There was someone here, I don't know if they're atheist, agnostic, what they were yesterday. They're coming to say, like, look, let's have a epistemological, philosophical discussion. And we need to, I said, look, let's study the Quran and study Code 19 and stuff. No, I need to spend more time getting my foundation of epistemological analysis ready and this and that. And I said, you know what? That doesn't seem very practical to me. If these religions are true, or if God exists and this scripture is true, I don't think the people of Moses needed to spend months doing epistemological analysis prior to submitting to God and accepting the statute book, the 10 Commandments, and the teachings and rulings that Moses gave them. It's very simple. God's system is very simple. Verse 96 says, we send Moses with our signs and a profound authority. Best example of this is are the magicians, right? So with the magicians, they witnessed one of the signs of Moses. He threw down his staff, it turned into a serpent. They possess the capacity, as I would think most people there would possess, to witness and say, hey, we're throwing ropes and sticks. Moses is throwing a serpent, a staff that turns into a serpent, and it consumed our ropes and sticks. We are now going to prostrate. We are now going to submit to God. That's it. We witnessed the profound sign. We fall prostrate. That's it. And there is indication to say that these same two magicians are the same two individuals that were willing to humbly enter the gate when that command was issued by Moses. You see, it doesn't require analysis beyond this. Once we can witness the verifiable evidence, the signs, the miracle, then we resort to the profound authority. And that authority is from God. We can rest easy. The issue is, with regards to the situation at the gate, that community, it said there's powerful people. They may hurt us or whatever they're concerned about. It doesn't matter. God's messenger told you, go enter that gate humbly. Your job is to say, we hear and we obey. And this goes back to the comprehension topic earlier. We cannot comprehend why we should go to that gate. It doesn't matter. That's the bottom line. And I think this is very important to emphasize. God bless you.
You know, we echoing Brother Naveed, here in human land, right, where we live, Earth, right. We tend to sometimes follow blindly the people we admire or look up to, right? Children often have blind faith in their parents, right? Employees often have blind faith in their boss or the boss's boss, right? That everything's being handled appropriately, right? If your boss tells you to go do this, you assume that everything else is going fine and that he just wants you to do the simple task because that's all according to his plan. We often we don't always question the people we have this kind of trust in. Right? It's actually almost normal. Even your friends, sometimes you have blind trust in your friends. Like I've gotten to know my friend so much. He asks me to do something or he needs something. I sometimes don't even ask a question. Right. But then when it comes to God, right, people don't see God. Right. And even when they say we believe in God, right, if some guy tells you, hey, yeah, God wants you to do this, and he shows you some evidence that he may actually come from God, right, and you may choose to believe in him, but then even after you say, I believe in you, I believe you come from God, and then you receive the command, you hesitate, right? This happens with Muhammad, right? The sedentary, right? The people who opt out of the fights or try to escape fighting. When God's got your back, what are you afraid of? Right? If you really believe and he's telling you go fight, then have full faith. Everything's taken care of. Right? The omniscient, omnipotent being is telling you to go fight, and that it's for your own good. He's the most merciful, most compassionate, knows everything in the world and in the universe. What is there to be afraid of? Right? And people have trouble with this, with giving this level of blind trust to another. At least to God. Right? But they don't have problems with giving it to their parents or to their bosses or to their friends. Yeah.
That's right. We trust the firm is going to make the best decisions. We trust the boss is going to implement the best policies. We trust the laws in our country, the government, many things, entities, people, individuals. We need to trust, we need to put all our trust in God above anything else. 100%. Right? God never advocates sin, vice, correct? That's 729. But I always use this example. God will never tell me to do something that harms me, right? So whatever God says in the scripture, we just do it. And I'm at a point, and I think you are too, if God told me to eat sand, I would eat sand. Obviously, he will never do that. That's harmful to me. But I think we should have that level of trust in God and his words. He says fast Ramadan. I had many people tell me this is wrong. How could you do this? You're hurting your body. There's no justification to not drink water. This is a travesty, saying all these things. And praise God, I've been fasting for 22 years, never miss a single day, never even questioned it. Right? And I'll say, okay, God says fasting is best for you. I hear and I obey. That's it. It's not even up for debate. And I should do this and we should do this for everything. We just fully submit to God. We are here to be submitters, not objectors. We have to fully submit to God. Submit to God under all circumstances. Not only submit, cheerfully submit, because to submit is done. Can you control the blood in your veins, the circulation, the lungs, the heartbeats? We cannot control. Really, it comes to, do we submit willingly or unwillingly? We should cheerfully submit to God.
Praise God. I did want to mention last two verses, if I may. Eternally they abide therein for as long as the heavens and earth endure, in accordance with the will of your Lord. Your Lord is doer of whatever he wills. So in this verse, I've seen Muslims, even traditionalists, try to justify that maybe hell is not eternal because of this of such a verse, right? Because maybe God will be like, oh hey, you know what? I'm going to remake the heavens and the earth into something else, and thus as a result, hell needs to discontinue. Right, but then you read the next verse, says, as for the fortunate ones, they will be in paradise. Eternally they abide therein, for as long as the heavens and earth endure, in accordance with the will of your Lord, an everlasting reward. Right, so this is the problem, where they read one verse, they have an interpretation they like, and ignore reconciling it with the other verses. Right, he's saying that this reward is everlasting. Right, he's already telling us it's going to last forever. Right, so when he says, as long as the heavens and the earth endure, well, now we have our answer how long it's going to endure. Indefinitely. Right? And we see this issue with also intercession. Right? If you look at verse 105, the day it comes to pass, no soul will utter a single word except in accordance with his will. Some will be miserable and some will be happy. Right? The whole point of intercession is to overturn a decision already made. Right? But if he's willing you to go to hell, who the hell is going to stand up and say, yeah, you know what? Let's show him more mercy. Let's bring him back to heaven. Right? No one's going to say that. It won't be in accordance with his will. And yet they want to claim, hey, he permits intercession for those whom he wills. And this must imply that he's going to be allowing others to intercede and that it will benefit others. No, that's not what it means. You have to reconcile all the verses together. There's no intercession. There's no one who's going to say how save him when God has said condemn him. Sorry, guys. Went on a monologue. Go ahead, brother Naveed.
God bless you. That's fantastic. And now we are entering the second half of the Quran study. So I know if anybody has questions or comments about it, the verses we read, but also any other verses, you can bring them now. I know it's Ramadan now. Congratulations. I wanted to make a quick announcement for Night of Destiny. I'll put the link in the chat, God willing. 24 people have signed up. I put it in VC1 chat. Please sign up for Night of Destiny if you're interested. We're gonna have great commemoration, God willing. Please sign up for that if you're interested. 29 people. Okay. And also, I wanted to announce Sister Taratai's daily Ramadan recitation. Sister Farah, can you tell us about that? How's that been going? I know you guys have made great progress. You finished already 20% of the Quran. Can you update us, Sister Farah?
Hi, peace be upon everybody. So at the moment we're touching on chapter 16 since the eve of Ramadan, and we're aiming to complete reciting the whole of Quran in the month of Ramadan, inshallah, God willing. So we hold it twice a day until the end of Ramadan, except for Night of Destiny. So we opt that one out, inshallah.
Congratulations, that's fantastic. Go ahead. Yeah, I also want, she's not here, but Sister Teratai does a fantastic job. I think every day she's been putting between 4 to 7 hours in VC4 for excellent Quran recitation and reflections. I highly recommend people joining those sessions. I've joined recently several times, and I was very happy to be part of that. And same with Sister Farah and others that helping so much. It's wonderful, especially during Ramadan. They're doing a great job. Praise God. And it's very inviting, and many new people are joining and listening, and it's just fantastic. I also wanted to make, God bless you, everybody. I also wanted to make an announcement. I think we have several new people converting in the last week. With someone I know that embraced submission recently, is Sister D. And this very interesting story, peace be upon you, Sister D. Congratulations on embracing submission. This is an interesting story because, yeah, thank God. I invited her to this, I think I invited her from a Sunni server or something about 2 years ago. Literally within a month of the server being created, I invited her. I told her to come here, and she came for a little bit and wasn't active. And then I guess in the last few weeks she was active, and we just had good conversations with her. A few of us were talking and explaining submission and talking about different topics. And I guess, I don't know, within the last few days, we just reached a conclusion that God's religion is the truth, and she embraced submission. So congratulations, Sister D. That's fantastic news.
Woo! I'm celebrating. That was a celebratory woo.
Mashallah.
Would you like to speak, Sister D? I'm sorry if you're shy. I know you typed in the chat. You thanked me. God bless you. Did you want to say anything? Did we? It's okay. No problem. It's okay. You could talk later. And then also Brother Jonathan, I don't know. Brother Jonathan also embraced submission, I think in the last couple of weeks or less. Congratulations to Brother Jonathan. He's also really fantastic. If you want to have any knowledge about Hadith, he's an expert on Hadith in terms of why they're wrong, inconsistent, contradict Quran, the narrations are false, the chains are broken, all this wonderful stuff. The individuals are hypocrites in them. It's fantastic. He's done a great job. Thank you so much, Brother Jonathan. It's been great having you.
Brother Jonathan, the professional Sunni slayer. Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Also, I wanted to welcome brother I'm sorry, did he just leave? Oh no, brother Jamil. This is also a younger brother that's been joining us recently. He's already a submitter, but he was not connected into a bigger submitter group. Congratulations, brother Jamil. Thanks for connecting with us. It's great to have you.
You're welcome.
He was lying.
God bless you. Did I announce everything? I don't know, Peter or AAA. Did you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Good.
I just want to let other people know if they want to start Quran study groups at specific times, give us a heads up, right? We can set up times for people who want to, host Quran study events during the week, right? It's not something that's locked in for just admins or mods. Reach out, say, hey, I want to hold an event at this time, and we can support such an endeavor, right? We anything to bring people to the path of God, right? So don't be shy. All right, go ahead, Brother Peter.
I was gonna say, put Jonathan's Twitter. God willing, if we can, anyone who has a Twitter account, if you can follow it, let's get it, higher in the ranking so more people see his analysis and work. He's got some really good threads on there. Praise God.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Praise God. We're making a lot of progress. A lot of people are learning about submission and coming to the truth, and I found that the documentary has been very instrumental. I think we talked about this previously. Sister Ginny converted to submission a few weeks ago because she went on YouTube, saw the documentary, then she thought it was amazing, came here, heard the rest of the message, and then embraced submission. So I think it's really important as a powerful social media tool to share the documentary with people. I put the link in the chat, supporting the video, giving a like, thumbs up, and positive comments, and liking good comments, and sharing it with your friends and family. That's really helpful. I think I said,
guys.
go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. How's you doing?
Yeah, praise God. So, and then, so that's really helpful if you share the documentary. Also, on TikTok, now we have many more brothers and I guess, I don't know if we have any sisters actually, but we have many brothers that are active on TikTok accounts, either re-uploading our content or making new content. I know Brother Ellis has been really wonderful, making a lot of great, interesting videos about submission, and they're all directing everybody to come here and talk to us. And that's fantastic. Also, I wanted to thank Sister Mila for helping in the last week. She helped at least one person explaining submission to them as a teacher role. And again, anybody wants to sign up for the teacher role, let us know, let me know. You can be pinged when a new person is just interested in basic information about submission. It really helps to facilitate this process. I wanted to also give another example. In the last, I think it was last night or a couple of nights ago, we had so much activity, praise God, on the VCs. Just on a casual day, we had, I think 20 or 30 people just on a random time. I put a screenshot of that in the chat. So it was really good to have debates, discussions, Quran sessions, introductions, just ongoing conversations about God's message. So I highly encourage everybody to participate and be active in any capacity they can to help facilitate more people coming to the message and get also more talking about these things, having these conversations about God and thinking about it. And I do also echo what Brother AAA said, that anybody wants to have a Quran study at any time, if you're a moderator, you can just do it. But also, even if you're not a moderator, just let one of the mods or admins know, and you could just make a Quran study, even formally or informally at any time, and you can make that happen. And also, I think there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Sister Rose, are you here? Did you want to
Yeah.
talk about the plans that you had? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask you if I could mention that. So, a couple weeks ago, Naveed and I actually talked to Peter and a couple of the admins about this. We wanted to try and set up some structured learning classes. So if anybody's interested in giving a structured learning class, or you have a specific topic you'd like to learn about, we're going to try, and I'm going to, inshallah, start doing that after Ramadan, just because people are tired and there's a lot going on for people. So I thought it'd be best to start after Ramadan. But what I would really like to do is I've asked each of the admins to pick one Saturday out of the month for 2 hours of their day to come in and teach what they're most specialized on. And I think that would be great, so people can learn how to debate these things. So if you're in and a Sunni comes upon you to question you on Hadith or Code 19, you can learn the basics on how to explain it. So I think that would be very powerful. But then we're going to ask mods or anybody that's on the server that is interesting or has or is interested in, or has a interest in a specific topic that they're dealing with in their own life that revolves around, of course, Quranic topics, to hold a structured conversation. And basically that would be, we would just decide the topic and everybody would be invited into that VC, and that person's just kind of in charge of moderating for that topic, so we can stay on point. Because I feel like a lot of times we're in the lounge or in VC1 and we have a lot of submitters. We're all discussing something that's important, and then we'll have a new person come and we have to end the conversation. And I feel like sometimes people's other submitters' questions aren't getting answered. And we spend a lot of time with the debating people or defending or of those sorts of things. But I feel like when we have new submitters especially, it's really important that we're feeding their souls instead of just saying, okay, now you're a submitter and you're in the VC, and now, we're just going to continue on with the next person that comes. We need to be growing our own souls together under topics that interest us, that we can learn from. So again, if anybody has any opinions or wants to contribute or would like to do that, or just has a suggestion, you can let me know, and I'll be trying to, inshallah, get those classes going after Ramadan.
That's fantastic. God bless you, Rose. Thanks for your striving. Did somebody try to speak? Go ahead.
I don't think so. I was going to make a separate comment, but Navi, did you want to add something to Rose's comment?
No, just regarding Rose is a really good idea. I highly encourage anyone interested to get involved. And honestly, I'm really pleased with several of the people that got involved, Brother Talant and Sister Night Angel, and others that are interested in giving their presentations and sharing information in a way that they would not usually share and not be able, to just due to the circumstances or personality types or whatever, they just weren't facilitating that. But now to have that is fantastic. By the way, I wanted to congratulate Brother Talant on his first Friday prayer. Congratulations. That's really good news, brother. God bless you. And woo! Yeah, that's great news. And you got the honor of meeting Mr. AAA. That's fantastic. What a blessing. And you get to meet all the submitters over there. That's really good news. God bless you for striving. I highly recommend everybody to try to join the Friday prayer and connect with us, to be connected with your local communities, to be able to attend Friday prayer. It's very important. Brother Chalon, that's really good news, and I heard you had a great time. That's fantastic, and thank God for Sister Farhana and Sister Nida and others that were helpful in facilitating that or spending time with you. That's really good news. But going back to Sister Rose's idea. That's really fantastic. I recommend everybody that's interested to contact Rose and get set up for that whole system to have time in advance to connect on that level. And I think it's going to be really influential. Keep in mind, this is a public platform. This is not a closed group. This is a public platform. Anybody can join, and many people, anybody does join. People do join. Everybody does join. It's open. And so even now, when we're on Quran study, remember, this is not just a Quran study. It's actually striving in terms of spreading the message, inviting, having an open platform. It's like free advertising, right? So there's multifaceted here, and each one of these events is also an opportunity to spread information about God to the general public. So I think this is
I
really
agree.
good
And
news.
I did want to mention that if you guys wanted, if anybody is interested in doing this, this is not like you have to come in and you have to be an
Peace be upon you
expert
all,
on.
brothers and sisters. I for some reason I couldn't hear Rose's comments. Can someone share like the
Oh,
general?
Can you? Yeah, you just interrupted her. Can you unmute Rose? It sounds like you have her muted.
hey, Ferry, try dropping off and coming back and seeing if that works.
I think I tried that before and it didn't work.
Okay,
Can you
so
check if
click
you
on
have her
Rose.
muted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I can.
Israel, I have everyone muted all the time. You know, only Naveed do I leave unmuted because he inflates my ego.
No, I don't. Okay. Yeah, I think there was a situation in a study I was moderating. Okay, let me see if that works. Thanks.
Yeah. So, and just a general rule for mods and admins and just everybody, we don't even do personal mutes here, right? So if you're a mod and you know, someone gets rowdy or whatever, we do server mutes. We don't do personal mutes. Nobody is allowed to do personal mutes against anybody because it disrupts the flows of conversations. Anyway, go ahead, Rose. Sorry, please continue.
I just wanted to point out that, like, if you're interested in a topic, you don't have to be an expert on that topic. So let's, like, if you are just wanting to hear about that topic, we can have a discussion on it. We can dedicate that hour of learning time for that so that other people can join in and maybe you can learn about it. So I'm not asking people to say like, oh, you're an expert at this, and so then you're going to run the VC for an hour about this specific topic. So don't feel like you have to be an expert at what you want to speak about. But if you do have information or experience in a topic and you'd like to share that with people, that would be the best. I would say that the ones that we're going to do on Saturdays, inshallah, that the admins will be running, God willing, is going to be closed. Those are going to be for submitters only because they're going to be learning on how to debate certain issues, and we want to have this kind of like a training class. So those will be closed. Those will be for submitters only. Everything else will be open to the public.
Woo!
Wonderful. That
Sign me
sounds
up.
fantastic.
All right, I want
Yeah, if
to
anybody
hear
has
Brother Naveed
feedback on
teach
that,
me.
yeah, sorry. If anybody has feedback on that, please chime in because I'm open to anybody's feedback or ideas or anything.
Fantastic.
And
Awesome.
you guys, you don't have to DM only Sister Rose if guys want to DM guys as well. If it's something they don't want Miss Sister Rose to know, they can relate to me, and I'll pass it up the chain. All right, or let Brother Naveed or Brother Peter, any of the mods or admins know. It's a group effort, guys. Sister Rose, you have our support in your endeavor.
Well, we're going to try it out. We're going to see if it's successful. We can tweak it along the way. I mean, I just think it's important that we're spending adequate time with especially new submitters that have questions that sometimes they just get interrupted, or it's too large of a group and they're not heard, or maybe they're just even too shy to speak out in larger groups. And if anybody wants to, of course, run more ladies' nights where it's not necessarily a ladies' night, but we can have group conversations in the women's only VC for topics that maybe women just have questions on, but they're not super comfortable discussing in front of the gentlemen. We can definitely make some of that happen as well, because there are some topics that are more sensitive for women, or that they just want more conversation with women about. So I'd be willing to do any of those, or if there's another sister on here that would be willing to do some of those too, let me know. That would be great.
Yeah, I've tried to verify as many females as I can. There will be no men that enter the female VC, not even admins, not even moderator admins. I don't ever go there. I won't go there. I've made a promise, and others won't either. So you can feel comfortable to go there, but I'm just sorry if I haven't verified everybody. I've tried to verify as many as I can, and I've seen if anybody thinks that they know somebody that hasn't been verified, just let me know so I can give them their verification for VC6. That's a female only VC. That's VC6. Okay. So, and honestly, Rose, I don't know. Maybe you want to have an event created for Ladies Night or Sister Hoshi. I don't know what you guys are planning on doing with that, but that was nice to have the event created either once a month, whatever, to have the Ladies Night.
Yeah, I think that it's good to have the ladies' night, and I think ladies' night is more for just women to get together and chit chat. But I would like to have an opportunity to do some structured conversations in there, so we know what the topic is going to be. You know, like we can do like a big question is always about like praying or fasting on menses, or like hair coverings, and you know, like obedience to husbands. Like there's a lot of questions that women have that sometimes we just want other women's opinions on. So if you're one of those sisters that does have questions and you just rather hear the information from another female, we can have structured conversations in there as well.
And I think the ladies' night, I think the ladies' night facilitates, you know,
A lot of that.
just getting to know each other, connecting, and then being able to, you know, have deeper ties and facilitate that. So
Yeah,
I do
want,
think
you
it's
know,
beneficial.
yeah, I think it's also important to realize that we get a lot of females on here. A lot of the sisters maybe come from a religion where they are not really trained to or expected to or been taught to really not speak a lot in front of men. So that they maybe feel like they can't do that, and so that's a platform for them that they can speak without having that hesitation, and learn to be more open and learn to be a little bit more assertive with their point of view. So I think it would be a good opportunity for them to just kind of work on that in a safe space that's for women only, so that when they're in the VC with all the gentlemen, they have more confidence in speaking out, because we have a lot of really strong women here, and I feel like they mute themselves because of how they have been brought up in their tradition, maybe perhaps, or they're just in their family. So if we have that area where they can learn to be more vocal, I think it's beneficial for the whole server.
MashaAllah. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
MashaAllah, that's beautiful, Sister Rose. Also, a lot of women, they don't know their rights, and it's important to learn their rights, especially coming from Middle East, and they have been systematically oppressed under name of Quran, Prophet Muhammad, tradition of Prophet Muhammad. They have been victimized, oppressed by polygamy, by temporary marriage, by beating women, by forced hijab. It is important for them to learn their rights based on what Quran says. So, mashallah, that's great.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or announcements? Or any about any of this before we continue? Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, it was back on the study. I was kind of in a reflective mode earlier. But yeah, if the announcements are done, then I was gonna.
Yeah, go.
It sounds
I think the
clear.
announcements are done. What would you like to share with us? Oh, one more.
thing really
Go
quick.
ahead.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
just
no,
wanted
please go
to.
ahead, Brother Jake.
I'll be quick, Godwin. Yeah, just so the episode for this week is Hadith and Quran. Hadith and women, and it's just looking at some of the more heinous Hadith towards women. it's not a full comprehensive, but I think it does, does it right. And my hope is 50% of the Sunni population realize that they're just being disenfranchised in their religion. That maybe that's going to be a wake up call for more people to just move away from the Hadith and towards the Quran. If you guys get a chance, if you can like, comment, even have it play in the background, it helps with the reach of the video.
Yeah, maybe we could get a link to that, and that would be a good opportunity in doing a woman's study that we could listen to that, and then we could
It's already in
dissect
the
it as
chat.
women.
Yeah, it's already in the chat.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
it. I think that would be a great topic to do.
I'll also put the article with the various hadith that's mentioned in the content sharing channel as well.
Mashallah, mashallah. May God support you in that. It is really satanic to teach and systematically teach women, baby girls, that you're less than man, you're not equal, and in the name of Muhammad, in the name of Allah, in the name of Quran, and they don't even know their rights. So it is really important. Is oppressing 50% of their population. Actually, more than 50%, because it includes children too. When a mother is oppressed, the children are oppressed as well. So may God support you in that.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate it.
I have one more, just one more minor announcement, just because she just joined us, Sister Zainab. Just really quickly, I just wanted to announce that Sister Zainab has been doing Quran recitations also at night in VC4, and she's pretty much staying up all night commemorating God and reciting Quran in North America time. So I would suggest if anybody's interested to also connect with her and join her at night for Quran recitations. Thank you so much, Sister Zainab. She inspired me. I think the last few nights I've also been staying up with her and joining the Quran recitation sessions, which was really good. Praise God. I think that's it. I don't have any more. I don't have any more announcements. Sister Safari, if you want to make comments, go ahead, please.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And no rush. Yeah, mashallah, thank God. May God bless, guide and bless your striving, Brother Dude, and everyone. Yeah, and it's an important topic, really important topic about the women and the past, and thank God for God's purified message and the liberation that that comes with it. It's so ironic that Islam is the faith where the idea is to fight the prevalent oppression of women, and it's been turned on its head, where people think of Islam as the religion where women are oppressed, where it's actually the opposite, that the Quran is giving women the rights back. So thank God for making that clear to us. Mashallah, some great comments were made on the study, and I wanted to highlight and kind of expand a few things. Mashallah, I think it was Brother Dude that talked about like being careful to not sell our souls for a cheap price, and this is something I've been thinking about too. Like, the trades that we make sometimes unknowingly, like there's the financial aspect, but also other aspects that, there may be something that I get upset over, something, let's say, my sleep, for instance, just as an example, my sleep was interrupted, and I get upset over that, and I start to object, and I'm hurting my soul for something that is worldly, because of some worldly thing, and how easy it can be to do that, how often one can do that if one is not aware. And so, yeah, I just thought to share that being May God, especially during this month where things slow down, we can kind of see things more clearly. We can be more, it's an opportunity to be more aware and to see what we're doing, so we can address anything that needs to be addressed. That thinking about, because we also have limited time and resources. So how are we spending that time and resources? And if I'm objecting, what am I objecting over? And is it over something that's really worth hurting my soul and potentially hurting others for? Yeah, I'll pause there so it doesn't get to be too long. But yeah, I wanted to share that. It was, I thought it was powerful comment, so wanted to highlight and expand on that. Any other comments? Thanks.
We can also open it up if no one has comments about that. Just in general, any topics about the Quran or the religion that people want to discuss as well.
Yeah, peace be upon you. How's everyone doing with Ramadan? Any questions with regarding to Ramadan? I know usually there's a lot of like situations, scenarios, and this and that. People are like, "Oh, does my fast still count? Can I make it up on this circumstance, that circumstance, etc., etc." I find that this is a thing. Every time Ramadan comes around, I think there's always like questions about it. So I thought I'd open up for that. If we haven't already, one thing I would like to say is the verses for so there's a big misconception with regarding to fasting. Some people think that for example, if I have an exam today and I feel okay, I need to eat or drink so I can study for the exam and be this and that, so I decide I'm going to break my fast, then I cannot make up that breaking of the fast. I cannot make up that day of fasting on another day. You know what I mean? If I decide, oh, I can't fast today because I have an exam and I need to be able to write my exam, then I miss that day of fasting. I cannot then go make up for it outside of Ramadan, like the verse says, in the Quran, because the verse is very specific. It says, if you are ill or traveling, then you can make up an equal number of other days. And if you can fast but with great difficulty, you can substitute by feeding a poor person. So if you feel like, okay, hey, I can fast on this day of my exam or my work or whatever it is, but it's just going to be really difficult, and I'd rather not go through that, then I'm going to feed a poor person for breaking the fast. But you cannot make up for it. Making up for it is very specific, which is being ill or traveling. And even then, you can choose to fast if you choose. That's just what I wanted to say, since I had such a large audience.
I have a question about fasting, and this was brought up to me the other day. We were all having a kind of a discussion on it. I don't think we really got true clarification. So maybe since there's so many great people on today, I could get some clarification. Let's, if you break your fast unintentionally, or let's say you wake up super fast and you have to take some medication, which is my case, right? So let's say I woke up really late. I missed my time for suhoor, but I have medication I absolutely have to take. I take that medication, or I've accidentally drank water through the day. Do you continue on with your fasting after that, or are you just done for the day? Or is it a day that you could make up because it was inadvertent?
My commentary is the Quran is very specific, right? And it says if you are ill or traveling, an equal number of other days can be substituted, and that's the condition. So we ask ourselves, am I traveling or am I ill? And if the answer is not yes to those two things, then you cannot make it up. And if you accidentally break your fast, you ask God for forgiveness. Maybe you do some charity. There's this general concept saying, like, if you with the whole, if you break your fast, if you can fast but with great difficulty, but you can choose to feed one poor person for each day of breaking your fast. If one volunteers more righteous works, like, it's better. So I don't know, maybe if you miss your fast or whatever, you break it accidentally, do some charities, some righteous works, and ask God to help us do better. But I don't think you can make it up in that scenario unless you qualify that as being sick, in which case I can see that. That's my 2 cents. If anyone else has what they think, peace.
Assalamu alaikum. Just I think about 3 days ago, one of my business partner from Austria shared his experience with me. He's a Muslim and a white guy, but when we started fasting, he's still here in Nigeria, and his financial constraint was too low that he couldn't fast or even have any money on him to feed. So he called me. He was asking me that he felt he has fallen into the category of those traveling. Even so, I was just looking at it carefully. I said, "Wow, I think this makes sense." It doesn't really mean that you have to be on a journey to be among those traveling. One could reach his destination, even though not his own country, where he has his family, where he has every means to fast or do anything. But since he's out of his country, he's in Nigeria here, and he's having financial challenges, he couldn't fast. So he said he's traveling, so he has fallen into this category of people that God talked about that they cannot fast. So you see, this man is truly incapacitated. He cannot fast, and even feeding one poor person for that day of fasting, he cannot do it, because why he could not fast is because he's not rich to fast, to afford even money to buy food or water. So I think if he goes back to his country, I think this is when he should fast, right? To pay back this fast that he has missed, all the fast he has missed.
Brother, I'm having a hard time understanding, because if he has no money to buy food and water, then he's kind of fasting involuntarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when does he eat?
Honestly, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. Sometimes I have to be the one to even send him some money to feed. He's communicating with his people in the country there. He has lost some of his documents that he can, access some money, but up to now he could not get this
I
through.
think he can.
Honestly,
I mean, unless there's a health condition preventing you from fasting, even poor people can fast, and they do. There are people who, in the Ramadan, they fast, but they're poor, and some days they make suhoor, some days they make iftar, some days they don't. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. Maybe they just drink water or something instead of food. They break their fast with food, or literally like one piece of bread. That's all they have. But even in the poorest countries in the world, where people have like little to nothing, they're still able to fast. So you don't need to have finances to fast. Actually, it's if anything, you need finances to break your fast, but to fast is still an option. And water is water.
brother. Yeah, brother, you cannot understand his position. I know what he's passing through. Yes, I know what he's passing through. And anybody in that position, honestly, he cannot fast. I just felt, so bad for him. But I think this is what it means also to fall into the category of those who cannot fast with difficulty. This is what I just want to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, brother. So I didn't really get answered my question. It kind of went off on a different thing. So I guess I'll just ask again, just in case there's somebody else. Brother Peter and I are messaging about it, and he and I kind of have the same idea, but I'm still interested into hearing other people's opinion on it since there isn't
Yeah,
actually a specific ruling?
can you repeat your question? Just summarize
Yeah,
clearly.
if you inadvertently break your fast, let's say you take a shower in the middle of the afternoon, accidentally in the shower you get water in your mouth and you swallow it, or you wake up too late, the calling for prayer has already happened, and you have the specific medication that you absolutely have to take, so you have to take it. Do we continue on and try and fast the rest of the day, or do we just say that the fast has been broken and we feed a poor person?
The feeding of poor people is only for those who can fast, but with great difficulty. That's my understanding.
Okay, so then what do you do if
that
that
doesn't
happens?
classify inadvertently eating or drinking does not fall under great difficulty. My understanding.
So what would be the recompense? You just lose that day, or you try to continue to fast
I
after
can.
that happened?
May I say something?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yeah.
I believe if you make a mistake and just forget that you're fasting and or accidentally take a drink of water, you just ask forgiveness to God and continue to fast. It will be forgiven to you, I believe.
You know, it's interesting. There's no specific guideline around this in the Quran, right? What happens if you inadvertently break your fast? You know, what do you do? At the end of the day, it is breaking of the fast accidentally, you know, whether intentional or unintentional. We either lost our reverence or maybe we didn't deserve that day of fasting, just kind of like how if we miss a prayer, same concept here. Um, there's no fixed answer to say like this is the ruling, you know. I think I personally would probably just continue so I can build that habit and build the mindfulness throughout the day, but knowing that, all right, well, I technically did break my fast, right? Kind of like how if I miss one prayer, I just continue with the rest. Uh, it's not the best example, but just to help kind of understand it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
what I
wanted
would.
to comment on this. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Can I say something?
I
Oh, alaikum salam. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
okay. I have inadvertently forgotten or had to just take medicine in the morning and or sipped water unintentionally and done this thing, and I would continue my fast by God's leave. I'd ask God to forgive me and help me so that I won't forget next time because we have examples in the Quran, and I continue the fast. I think that's one of the purposes of fasting, to strengthen our focus, to help us concentrate more fully on submission. I think in these circumstances where there is no intention to break the fast, it's inadvertent, it's accidental, one does not have to break the fast for the rest of the day. Because, and then I would like to say this and get feedback if necessary. Fasting, a saum, is more than abstention from food and drink. It's also my piety and frame of mind. A person can abstain from food and drink or abruptly stop consuming things, but that doesn't mean they're making saum fasting in the way that we do it. They're just not eating and drinking. One element of fasting is part of my piety, my submission to God in my mind and in my heart. And God knows if I am sincere and I am wanting to submit and obey God, and I forget and I inadvertently do this, I have to take my medication, that does not nullify the fast for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Um,
Salam alaikum.
Go ahead. Sam.
Yes. Thank you, brother.
I
We
think
know
Brother
what
Naveed wanted to
we
say
know.
something.
Okay, please go ahead. Or should I go ahead?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Thanks. I just wanted to say that for 20 years, I think I had the wrong understanding. For 20 years, I believed that if you accidentally eat or drink, you can make up the day. But then last year, I found out that making up is only for illness and traveling. That's it. So
Yes.
I don't think I can make up that day. I did actually, I think 1 or 2 times try to make up a day, and I thought I did correctly, but that was incorrect. So I retract my previous position, and I believe that if you break your fast, there's two options. Either you can just accept that the fast is broken and then just stop, or you can do what Sister Mila says and just continue fasting for the rest of the day, just ask God forgiveness and just, I guess, continue the rest of the day. But there is no other day to do anything. There is nothing to do with that. That's my understanding. Is overall it's just a loss, probably a loss for losing consciousness of God, not being aware sufficiently and breaking in that way. That's all I wanted to say about that. So I agree with Brother Elham that there's not an exact remedy outlined for this in the Quran.
I totally like we live. It's a lot. 1 hour has 3,600 seconds. We can do any mistake anytime, but God made us that He's telling us that I don't want difficulties for you to make life easy. I believe the most important intention that you are fasting and you dedicate your fasting to God alone. And of course, this is our strengthen our soul and our body and our mind. So it's okay if you did it unintentionally. So just I believe, well, it happened to me once, and I just asked forgiveness and continued to pray, and nothing wrong happened. My fasting was accepted. So I believe the most important an intention.
Praise God. Thank you, Sister Mila, and everyone for
I think
sharing.
Brother Ibrahim is
Oh,
trying to make a comment.
okay. I can wait.
Okay, thank you, brother. God bless you. Sorry, I have a lot of energy now because I have break my fast already. God bless you all. What I'm trying to say is, we know that the only thing that makes us to break our fast is when we drink or eat or have sexual intercourse. These are the conditions that makes us a fasting man to break his fast, or a fasting woman. So if one eats by mistake, definitely the fast is broken. But out of remorse, he may decide not to eat, maybe because it's a painful thing for him to make such a big mistake to eat or drink something when he is fasting. The devil caused him to do that, and he can only repent to God and ask God to forgive him. But that fasting is broken. It's either he eats or remain remorseful and, punish himself not to eat throughout the day. This is what I want to share. But Naveed, you said there's no need for him to pay back this. He's missing one of the days of the fast. You think he should not pay it back after the month of Ramadan?
Well, the condition for paying back, that's what I thought too, but the conditions for substitution is in chapter 2, verse 185. It says that if those who are ill or traveling may substitute the same number of days. It doesn't give anybody else the right to substitute days. In fact, it's even in the previous verse, 184, it says if one is ill or traveling, an equal number of other days may be substituted. But if those who can fast, but with great difficulty, it says they may substitute feeding one poor person for each day of breaking the fast. So I think these are the only options. So accidentally breaking a fast is not listed here as an option. There's no option for that situation. And I'm telling you, for 20 years, I thought that was the case. But then last year, someone brought it to my attention and I looked at the verses. And that's how I understand it, is that it's only for ill or traveling, then you can substitute. But you cannot You cannot substitute otherwise.
So
That's
the
my understanding right now.
one should just repent to God and that's it.
I mean, I guess you can either two options. You can either continue fasting that day, or you can just give up and ask God to forgive you. That's it.
Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum.
That's it. Yeah,
Bye.
peace be upon you.
I think where God has not explained is up to the person. So we are not to make up new laws, just like the hadith and risala that they have done. It's up to the person. And God says, if it's too difficult for any day of breaking fast, that could mean they cannot fast at all, or they fast and break. If they fast and break, they still get some credit, both spiritually by their intention and health-wise. And then also give to charity. It's not like they don't give any credit for it. So God even has put for those who have difficult time to fast, give to charity. So they're still getting some credits.
May I add? I truly believe, well, and it's it's obvious. God knows everything, and He, of course, knows that we can make a mistake unintentionally. So, if this matter not discussed in the Quran, so it doesn't exist. So it doesn't need to even raise this question. You just made the mistake. I support this opinion. Up to the person. Wants to break the fast, please do. Don't want to, just ask the forgiveness and continue to fasting. That's only the
Yeah,
option.
I think to respond to Bliss, oh, she definitely herself. I was gonna say that there wasn't any law made. Nobody made any laws here, so I don't know why she said
Hey,
that.
Barry also wanted to make a
Go
comment.
ahead, Farid.
Oh, thank you, brother dude. Yeah, actually, it was along the same lines as Bliss, and perhaps she was just saying, because I kind of had the similar idea, just to put that idea that there's an idea that we on these things that are not clarified in the Quran, we can, things may come up, we can ask about them and we can share. Sometimes it's helpful to like see how what other submitters are doing. At the same time, we just want to, and I'm not saying this was done, but just to be careful that we don't make it a rule like it has to be this way or that way. And regarding Sister Rose's question, that yeah, I think that's kind of my response, that I think it's good to ask God for guidance, and again, not to make it a rule, but one, this is a approach that one can take, is just like so this is just along the lines of sharing that when we're doing a salat, and if we make a mistake, we can ask for forgiveness. Some people like to do it again, but one can also ask for forgiveness. And it's the same thing, like it's up to the person and how they feel at that moment, and asking God for guidance. I think some time ago it happened to me once. I accidentally did that, and I think I asked for forgiveness and continued with the fast, if I remember right. Just sharing kind of how I approached it. And my understanding of this verse about the substituting is that God is making it clear that we should try to fast, except these are the times where it can be substituted, but it doesn't mean that we can't, because there's other times where like we fast as a part of like atonement, and so it doesn't mean that it's prohibited to um fast otherwise. So if there's some other reason, like if one accidentally breaks and wants to make it up, I don't think it's saying that you can't, but as a general like rule, God is saying, okay, these are situations where you can make it up. That's my understanding at the moment. May God forgive me and guide me if I'm mistaken. Thanks.
But don't you think God would give that as an option if that was available? If God says if you eat while not being malicious, you may also substitute your day. So I just don't really see that in the verse. God's laws are clear. If he wanted to make that rule, he would just make that rule. So I don't think we should just assume a rule exists if God hasn't stated it explicitly.
Yeah, it also doesn't say you can't make up any days otherwise. Like, I guess my understanding, my perspective, and I don't want to insist on it because it's just my understanding at the moment, is that God is saying, okay, this is a situation where, you know, it's justified as a general idea, like, you know, but otherwise, I mean, in general, we should try to do it. And even if one is ill or traveling, God is saying you can substitute it. But in these situations where, you know, something comes up, then I think because it's not outlined in the Quran, it's up to the person. And
But if
different approaches can be taken. So that's my
you're saying,
understanding at the
if
moment.
you're saying you can do that, you're adding to the laws in the Quran, right? So the Quran says ill or traveling are the days you can be substituting. And you're suggesting it might be additional things. And I think that's possibly problematic, or it is problematic to say that it's not limited to ill or traveling. You can just add other stuff, other scenarios to the substitution days. I think that's where that's problematic. God says if one is ill or traveling, an equal number of days may be substituted. And I'm saying, well, that's not exhaustive. There's additional situations. If you accidentally eat, or if you forget, or something else happens, you can also substitute. I just don't see justification for that. If God wanted to, he would just put that there. So we can be more godly than God. Right?
Salam
We have to-
alaikum. Can I make a comment?
Yes, please go ahead.
Mashallah, a lot of good comments were made. I don't think Sister Fari was trying to say that we need to go beyond what God recommends in the Quran, but we know scientifically, and it's been proven that how good fasting is for us, physiologically, mentally, and all. But God says, if you only knew how good fasting is for you, we are mandated to do fasting for the whole month of Ramadan. But there is nothing outside the month of Ramadan that God prohibits additional days of fasting, which is good for our body. And, you know, I don't know if you inadvertently break your fast, what is it that you have to do in the sight of God? Because obviously, as everyone mentioned, is not mentioned in the Quran specifically. But I think to address the other question that was asked before, one of the brothers said, well, what if I have to take an exam and I need the energy, the brain energy, to have to break my fast because I have the exam that day, and what should I do? It's interesting that in my mind, the premise for that question is really based on assuming that in a non-fasting state, our brain works better, which is wrong. Actually, there are a lot of studies that says in a fasting state, our brain will work better because we go into a ketotic status. Now, our body is made by God as a hybrid machine. We burn fuel like our car does. So the hybrid cars, they burn regular gas and they burn battery generated energy. So exact the same way, our body is made to burn energy as a glucose source from sugar, and also is able to burn energy as fat. So if we are giving our body carbohydrates and sugars, our body is switched over to glucose burning. So we're not going to be able to burn fat. And as long as sugar is coming in, the insulin level, which is the hormone that's going to regulate the amount of sugar in the blood, goes up, you have increased insulin, your body is switched over the glucose burning mode. When we're fasting, there is no sugar, there is no carbs, there is no intake of any fuel. And now insulin level goes down. Exactly the same thing as we do every night. We go to sleep, we have a fasting period. First thing you wake in the morning, you have the lowest level of insulin. And if we can only keep that lowest level of insulin for several hours, which people are doing with intermittent fasting, that is helping them to lose weight and all of that, is because they're pushing their body to go into a fat burning mode. Once you go into a fat burning mode, then you start developing these ketone bodies. And the ketone bodies are going to help us with the brain function. It's more preferential for brain cells to use ketone bodies than glucose itself. By the way, people who are constantly keeping their insulin level up because of a lot of excess sugar and carbohydrates, they are getting the more brain fogs, they're getting the migraine headaches, they're getting a lot of issue that over time it can turn into Alzheimer. And people with epilepsy, they go into, keto diet where they're not, or they're restricting their carbohydrate intake. They go into that fat burning mode, and all of the processes in the brain works much better. The epilepsy and seizure disorder gets better. And these are studies out there. I'm not making this up, obviously. So the premise that I need my sugar or I need my food to be able for my brain to work better during my exam, it doesn't regard the fact scientifically that no, your brain will work better or as good if you are in ketosis state. Also, another thing that question disregard by breaking our fast is that we're not trusting God. We think if we fill our stomach with whatever food, we're gonna do better on our exam. God runs everything. You take the exam with an empty stomach in a fasting state, and you will see how much better you're going to do, inshallah. So everything that was said in regards to inadvertent breaking of the fast, it's amazing that question came up, because just last night, as I'm sleeping, I drank water, and I woke up and I was so anxious. My heart was beating because I thought, I didn't know it was a dream. I thought I was awake, and I drank water, and now I was upset because I just broke my fast and I didn't know what to do. And now the next day, I'm listening to you guys, my brothers and sisters, talking about the exact same thing. What to do if you inadvertently break your fast. It's all between you and God. And as everyone said, there is no specific or exclusive answer to that question in the Quran. And we should just go by, asking forgiveness. If we need to add additional days during fasting, my opinion, and I may be wrong, inshallah, God will help me to understand better. If you do additional days during the year of fasting, you're probably doing much better for your health and metabolic health, as opposed to, stuffing our stomach with all these carbs and processed food. Thank you very much, everyone.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Brother Sam. Great to hear you, and thank you for that great sharing. MashaAllah.
Thank you very much, Brother Sam. It's great to see you.
Assalamualaikum.
God bless you. I think Brother Amin is turn, and then Brother Raju.
Peace be on everybody. I think there is a verse in the Quran that sort of doubles down on what Sam was saying, or Brother Sam was saying, is that it says, but it's the last part is this: if you fast, is better for you, and that's a general statement. It's very general. It means like whatever circumstances you may be in, fasting is still a better option than other option that God has provided for us, including taking examination and other circumstances. So this is one of those things that if you only knew, which in the case seems that we don't know in many cases. Like I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, fasting's good. You don't eat, but you're not hydrated, this and that." So there's all sort of things going on in people's head that thinking, it's good for one thing but not for the other. But God makes a very blanket statement, and it just puts our mind at ease that it is better for us under almost all circumstances. He gives the option of, breaking it if it's too difficult for us to do, and this on this assumption that you can fast. There are people that literally cannot fast, but most of the case, I'm just saying this, the blanket statement, really good reassurance that this is what we should be doing, and the benefits will come after when we trust God. And that was my comment.
I got brother Raju.
The brother mentioned about the scientific evidence and health-wise. I think we should be more focused on on nourishing our soul. And if someone is facing difficulty in some stage, they should pray to Allah to make it easy for them. Because as far as health, if we are having discussion, we know that nothing can harm or benefit us against God's will. So literally, I have seen, over the years, different submitters in terms of high sugar diets and all, mashallah, they're very healthy and no issues at all. But the thing is, our focus should be what nourishing our soul, inshallah, and without having any fear of any health complications, because we know that nothing can harm or benefit us. Opposite, it has benefit for us scientifically also, but we don't have to worry about any health complications, inshallah. This was my comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that I think is a separate issue. The health stuff is one thing, but we're talking about Ramadan fasting, right? We're talking about the rulings or situations or conditions related to Ramadan fasting. And regarding what Amin said, it says fasting is better than you. My understanding is that's in the context of Ramadan. It doesn't mean that you should just fast every day of the year. I don't think that's what God is telling me to do. Where it says that fasting is better than for you, is talking about in the context of fasting for the days decreed for us during the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, that's what
Right?
I say. I didn't mean that it's fasting good for all year. I was talking in the context of Ramadan. Yeah.
Yeah. Fasting during Ramadan is the best for us, and I totally agree. But the point I'm trying to make is that I agree with Brother Raju. This is not about fasting being good for us or not being good for us or all this other stuff. If you want to fast for health reasons, you're more than welcome to. But we're talking about religious fasting. My understanding, it's limited to Ramadan, or if you accidentally kill somebody, or if you break your oath with God. These are the only three situations they should have any kind of religious fasting. That's how I understand it. And they're all outlined in the Quran. And specifically with regard to the accidental eating, again, I'm just reiterating my point. God says that if all the oceans were ink and all the trees were pens, God's words would not run out. God says that if you are ill or traveling, you can substitute your days and make them up. He never said that if you accidentally eat, then you can make it up. So if I add that rule, I'm afraid I may be adding to God's laws. And this is coming from somebody who believed that way for 20 years. I thought that's what, but I have to be honest with myself. And I have to be careful to not add to God's laws, because if I'm saying that's an available option, then I may be adding to God's laws. I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm not comfortable to take this position. And that has nothing to do with health concern or any of this kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with the benefits of fasting. I'm just talking about this concept. God says ill or traveling, you can substitute. And I just leave it at that. I don't want to add to this. That's all.
So I agree with Brother Naveed because we have to follow the Quranic steps. See, when it comes to dealing with wife, when it comes to breaking oath, when it comes to zakat, there is a format, there are steps that we have to follow. And this falls in that category. So one is mentioned clearly when we can substitute, we have to follow that steps. MashaAllah.
So I'd like to read a verse, Surah 2, verse 196. Let me post it in the chat. I'm usually away from the chat, but inshallah, I will post this.
Oh, I missed one, didn't I? I missed the 10 days of fasting for Hajj. I missed that one. Thank you for helping with that.
Praise God. Praise God. And by the way, I didn't know the difference between, I didn't know there were different kinds of mute, so that was unintentional. Okay, so 2196, you shall observe the complete rites of Hajj and Umrah for God. If you're prevented, you shall send an offering and do not resume cutting your hair until your offering has reached its destination. If you're ill or suffering a head injury and you must cut your hair, you shall expiate by fasting or giving to charity or some other form of worship. During the normal Hajj, if you break the state of Ihram, sanctity between Umrah and Hajj, you shall expiate by offering an animal sacrifice. If you cannot afford it, you shall fast 3 days during Hajj and 7 when you return home. This completes 10, provided you do not live in this sacred mosque, masjid. You shall observe God and know that God is strict in enforcing retribution. So there's 2 instances where the fasting is mentioned, and I was actually, I mean, it's true that also with breaking the state of Ihram, one can fast instead of offering animal sacrifice if one cannot afford the animal sacrifice. But it was the first one that I wanted to, that I was really highlighting, that I was saying if you're ill or suffering head injury and you have to cut your hair, you shall expiate by fasting or giving to charity or some other form of worship. So fasting is like when we're doing it with the intention, like, you know, whether it's for Ramadan or for a situation where there's a spiritual intention, it is a form of worship. And there's this precedent that there, you know, there are these other situations where, you know, in this case, God says, you know, in this situation, expiate by fasting, or it gives options, some form of worship. But this shows that fasting is a form of worship. And in the situation that was mentioned about the question, I wasn't saying that's what needs to happen. Again, you know, like I was saying, in the situations where the Quran doesn't give us clear guidelines, my understanding is it's up to the person and it's between them and God. And one can ask God for guidance and do what seems, you know, the best option for one at that time. Yeah, so, and the approaches, in my understanding, those are possible, you know, ways to approach it. And so God also hasn't said you cannot fast in, you know, any other situation as a form of worship. So again, my understanding at the moment, may God guide us to the correct understanding. Thanks.
Thanks. I need to also correct myself. So also there's, I think, 2 more situations that you can fast, and that's if you estrange your wives, you have to fast for 2 months. And also there's one more situation for fasting, and that's if you kill any game on purpose. If you kill anyone who this is 595. Anyone who kills any game on purpose, his fine shall be a number of livestock animals that is equivalent to the game animals he killed. The judgment shall be set by 2 equitable people among you. They shall make sure that the offerings reach the Kaaba. Otherwise, he may expiate by feeding poor people or by to atone for his offense. God has pardoned past offenses, but if anyone returns to such an offense, God will avenge it. God is Almighty Avenger. I guess the way you're describing the fasting as a religious action is more like an atonement fasting rather than a substitute day fasting. So if someone does something sinful or evil or whatever, I don't know, this isn't a new discussion to say, okay, well, I committed a gross offense, maybe I should fast for 2 days or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't really have a position on this, but I do acknowledge the specific instances for fasting in the Quran. I think what now we counted about 5 that are mentioned. I don't know. God help me if I didn't catch them all. The estranging of wives is in chapter 58, verse 2, 3, 4. Says if you can't find a slave to free, you have to fast for 2 consecutive months. So you can't even do 1 month today and now and 1 month 3 months from now. They have to be consecutive. Anyone have any questions or comments on this?
Yeah, mashallah. Praise God. I guess my point was that based on 2196, it is considered a form of worship that one can use. Of course, there's the prescribed specific atonements that were mentioned. However, in 196, it also talks about it can be used as a way of expiating, and it's a form of worship, just like one may, decide to give to charity, extra, beyond the zakat, give extra charity for different reasons. It seems like, it's a form of worship that one can use in the cause of God. Thanks.
So can you describe the specific situation in 2196? What exactly is triggering is it just breaking the state of Ihram? Or what exactly is happening there that causes you to fast? Do you know?
So in 2196, let me go back to that. Yeah, so basically, in this situation, like somebody is being prevented from completing the rites of Hajj and Umrah. And so then in that case, God says, if you're prevented, send an offering, and don't cut your hair, which is something that you do once everything is done. You cut your hair, and so God says if you're ill or suffering a head injury and you have to cut your hair, so there may be situations that somebody gets injured, and when they go to the ER, if there's a head injury, that's one of the things they do. They shave that part so they can kind of get to that. Then that's a way to expiate fasting or giving to charity or some other form of worship. So it's mentioned as a way of expiating, like atoning. However, it's mentioned here as a form of worship that one can employ. It seems to me, this is again my understanding at this time, that one can use for different reasons. Just like, I may decide to give to charity. There may be a charitable pledge, or maybe to atone, or whatever it may be. That's what I wanted to share. Any other thoughts or comments? Any other inputs on this?
I just want to summarize the situations that are explicitly referenced for fasting in the Quran. So number one is Ramadan. It says if you're ill or traveling, an equal number of other days, or I'm sorry, this is just the fasting of Ramadan. Number two is Hajj. If you're ill or suffering a head injury and you must cut your hair, you shall expiate by fasting or giving each other some other form of worship. And if you can't afford the animal sacrifice, you fast 3 days during Hajj and 7 when you come back, completing 10. The third situation mentioned explicitly is manslaughter. If you kill a believer by accident, you fast for 2 consecutive months. The fourth situation is breaking an oath. If you break your oath, this is in 589. If you cannot afford to feed 10 poor people or clothe them or free a slave, then you fast 3 days. That's the atonement. The fifth situation is if you kill game on purpose, and if you can't, and you have to feed poor people, and if you can't do that, then you fast for the equal amount. The last situation that I see is estranging your wives. I consider them forbidden in sex. If you do this, you have to fast for 60 days. Feed 60 people. If you can't do that, you fast for 60 days. That's everything I have for fasting in the Quran.
I had a question. Is Brother Dude still here?
No, he's deaf.
Oh, he's deafened. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let me ask maybe others know. So this kind of something came up, so I'm wondering about this. So there's the different like the Arabic Qurans, we have different versions, is my understanding. And there's one that Dr. Khalifa seemed like he trusted or he used. And then there was one that was found in Yemen, I think, recently. Does anyone know?
Yeah, you're talking about the Sana manuscript. What's your question?
So which one is it is that the one that Dr. Khalifa trusted
No,
or
he
used?
uses the Hafs. No, he's using the Hafs version.
And the Hafs version is, so that's not the one that was, and I heard that somebody said that there was a Quran that was attributed to Ali, like it was thought that it was his Quran that was found, or is that the Hafs version or is that different?
I don't know what that is. I don't know anything
Oh,
about that.
okay. And do we know why Dr. Khalifa, like he thought the Hafs version was the correct one, right?
It's the most correct because it's confirmed by Code 19.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. It was based on that that and is it available, like is that the one that we that's the one that's like in the translations, the Arabic Quran that's in the translations, and that like on the that's in the, you know, like when you pull up the Arabic, is that version?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. Okay, praise God. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
I'm giving an example of this in VC1 dash chat. You can compare for yourself. There you go.
Those are three, okay, those are three different versions. Okay, praise God. Thank you. I don't know if my Arabic is up to. Um, so what about the like, is the Al-Fatiha different from, so it's mentioned that like there's different, you know, different ways to like pronounce the you know, the Fatiha or parts of the Fatiha. And I was just wondering whether that's based on the text. So someone mentioned that. And I was wondering whether that's based on the text and the Quran that somebody is using. I don't know if Brother Navid, if you have access to the Fatiha for the different versions. Well, I guess the one that we have in our server, that would be the Hafs version, right? So I can look at that.
Yeah. So Malik Yawmuddin would be in Hafs versus Malik, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was mentioned that like there's a different for it's like yeah, Malik versus yeah, the different versions of, and so I wondered if that was based on the version of the Quran that people were using. Um
Yeah, we would just go to the Hafs Qira'ah.
so I just posted the Fatiha, so I mean with the Arabic, so that would be the Hafs, right?
Yeah.
So here it looks like Malik. But I wonder if some of them have. That's Hafs, what you just posted.
Yeah, I just copied it.
Malik.
Let's see. Malik or Malik? Malik or Malik? So in this one, actually,
I don't know if the text is the same and the pronunciation, if people are pronouncing it differently. I don't know if it's based on the
the
text.
pronunciation is different,
Hmm?
but I'm trying to see. Actually, might be the wrong one. I don't know. Let's see. Let me take a look. Let me see what I have.
Warsh, yeah. So Warsh was one of the ones that you had posted, one of the versions.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Jonathan, which one would be relevant here? I'm confused because in this one that I have, it says Malik for halves, but Rashad is using Malik. I'm not sure what's going on, to be honest with you. I guess there's a way to know how many letters in code 19 verifies how many letters it is. This is important to know, actually. So if we go to chapter 1, verse 1, Rashad says that this is verse 4. Rashad says verse 4 has 11 letters. Okay, so let's count the letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. So what would it be on this one? What would it, let's see. So in the one I put,
Yeah, the first one is 11, the one that you posted. I think that was the halves, right?
so the second one was 12 letters then?
Yeah, it looks like the second one has 12 because Malik, there's an aw.
There's an aleph, you mean?
There's an aleph. Yeah, that's what I meant.
So that wouldn't work because if you have an extra aleph, it would be 12 and that would disrupt the code. So it has to be 11.
So that is the halves version, right? The first version was the halves version that you.
Yeah, let's take a look. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I'm confused now. I'm confused because this is saying the halves has 12 letters and Warsh has 11 letters. I'm confused. I don't know. I think I need Peter to help. Is Peter back? No.
No, he's deafened.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I'm confused, but let me see this one. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oof. That's not good. What's interesting is the one that Rashad uses in his translation has 11. But this is claiming Warsh has 12, so I'm just confused. Sorry, it claims half has 12. So let's see.
Oh, but the halves. I thought you said halves was the first one you posted.
Yeah, maybe this website just has it wrong. So let's go to, check out this website. This is really cool. I like this one. This website has all the different versions of the Quran and the Qur'at, Mushaffs.
Oh, praise
At least
God.
a bunch of them. It has Duri, it has Warsh, it has Warsh 2, it has Hafs. Yeah, the question is, Brother Shaughnessy, the question is about verse 4 in chapter 1. What's the pronunciation of that word, the first word of verse 4?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, brother. Yeah, thank you for his brother. It's Brother Shaughnessy. That is it. Like which version is correct? Which version of the Quran is the correct one that Dr. Khalifa used, and that we want to because it was said that there's the different ways that people like pronounce like Malik, and so wanting to see, yeah, basically seeing which one is the delving into that more essentially.
So in the link that I shared is the Medina, yeah, okay, so the Medina Mus'haf is the Hafs. So if you go to the Medina Mus'haf that I put, in the link that I put, it's Maliki Yawmiddin. So I don't even know what these guys are saying. This website must be wrong. But I think what it is it's recited with an aleph, but doesn't have an aleph. It has a dagger aleph. So it's Maliki Yawmiddin.
Oh, okay. So,
It has
okay.
a dagger aleph. I'm gonna put it in the chat. And this is the Hafs right here. There you go.
I didn't see it yet. Okay. Maliki.
So if
Okay, so
you
this is
zoom
a
in,
half.
you'll see that there's a dagger aleph. So that changes the pronunciation.
So it would be Malik.
Malik. Yeah, it would be
Malik.
Malik.
Okay.
There you go.
Not Malik.
Yeah. Wait, Malik Yawmiddin. Malik Yawmiddin. That's right. See, do you see the dagger aleph is there? So
Yeah.
it's not written with an aleph, but it has a dagger aleph, so it forces the pronunciation that way. Now let me use this website and go to the Warsh. Let's see if that was different.
And this is yeah, so this would be the 11 letters, which goes with what Dr. Khalifa was saying is the correct.
Yeah,
I mean
that's
that's
for code 19.
I mean that is the kind of the best, like it seems like it's the most accurate
So
version of the Quran.
yeah, so now take a look at this. I think we got to sort it out. So now look in the Warsh version of this. There you go. So
It hasn't come through yet.
it's here. And Warsh, there's no aleph, no dagger aleph. So it's just Maliki Yawmiddin, not Maliki Yawmiddin. It's Maliki Yawmiddin. Maliki.
Oh, you're saying because there's no little there's no little aleph like there is in
Yeah,
the
so it changes the pronunciation. It's just Maliki Yawmiddin. But that one is Maliki Yawmiddin.
because of that little thing. The little
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But there's versions that is also like Malik, right? That would be the 12
No,
letters.
no.
Mhm.
Malik is not a, well, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure if there's any version that has it that way. I haven't seen it yet.
But you posted like a
Yeah, I'm not sure where
12
they got it from. I think that one is showing pronunciation, not actual text.
Oh. Okay, so there isn't such a thing.
I don't know if there is or not. I'm checking more versions now.
Jonathan also posted something. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I'm looking at what he says. So he put 48 minutes and 19 seconds. Let's see here.
No, I was referring to I was referring to Brother Jonathan had posted these different versions of Malik. I'm not sure what that's from, or I don't know if that's the pronunciation or if that's the text, or there's 21 things.
Hey, what's the question?
Brother Dude, thanks for coming back. Yeah, so I was talking to someone and they were talking about how, there's the different versions of the Quran, and so the different, like for instance.
Okay, so I'm back. So it's actually fixed. Rashad resolves this. So you have to go. I put it in the minute, brother. It's not 48:19. It's 58:17. At 58:17, he teaches, and my link is exactly at that moment. It's 58 and 17 seconds. And he says, so I'm just going to increase the volume and then I'll explain what he's saying. But this is very clear. It's coming now. Okay, so it says Maliki. So his has an aleph. Maliki
Yeah,
Yawmiddin.
this is way easier. This is part of the reason of Code 19. We're not debating the qira'at of the Quran, right? The Code 19 confirms it's the Hafs recitation. So we're not debating between is it Malik or is it Molik, right? Is it king or master? That's like
Yeah, that was the
resolved thing.
first. That was the first thing we said. We already went over that.
Yeah,
But,
so
but
it's
I
like
want to hear. I want to hear what. Yeah, I want to hear
Go
what
ahead.
other.
yeah, no, this is a comment like they try to get a dinger on people who are Quran alone. They say, well, which one is it? Like, okay, well, if you're a Quranist, you really don't have an answer for that. But for us, we say that the Code 19 is kind of the fourth preservation mechanism of the Quran. That we're not there, shuffling through these 20 plus different recitations, trying to figure out, okay, which one is it? Because if you ask the traditionalists, they'll tell you they're all right, all these variations. And then you say, hey, did the Prophet get the Quran in 20 different recitations? They cite the hadith where it says it's coming down in 7 arif, and you ask them, okay, well, what's arif? And they don't know, right? There's no consensus on what it is. So they're stuck, and they know they're stuck. There's like a really famous discussion between Muhammad Hijab and Yasser Ghadi. And Muhammad Hijab asked Yasser Ghadi, who's like, has a lot of knowledge regarding the different variants of Qira'at of the Quran. And he says, okay, if I give you a blank piece of paper, can you write down the Quran? And he says he can't. So, and this is like really damning. This for a long time, even today, people still pull this interview and say, look, there's no such thing as a preserved Quran. Here's a testament. Muhammad Hijab had to like denounce Yasser Ghadi's interview afterwards because of it.
Thank you all for your inputs. Thank you, brother. So let me see if I understood correctly. So the Hafs Quran is the one that, because these other ones they have slight variations in the words and the letters, and the Hafs Quran is the one that that has where the Code 19 works.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
so
then
most of the differences are regarding the vowel markings, and very rarely does that impact the meaning. So the other example
okay.
you'll hear is Qolibat. This is in Surah 30. It says the Romans will be defeated. So if you read it as Qalibat or Qolibat, it's going to give you either they are defeated or they're the ones who are doing the defeating, right? And they'll say, well, which one is it, right? It's the same thing. There's these occasions where in the vowel markings impact the meaning, and they want to say, look, you need the hadith to basically resolve this, otherwise you're stuck. So it's just a way to try to argue against people who are saying Quran alone.
But based on the code, we know which one it is, right?
Correct. So Code 19 corresponds with the Hafs recitation. And there is some things that even within the Hafs recitation, at least in the 1924, they standardized the text for the Hafs recitation. This was done in Cairo, but even then, there's some issues with their text that they use. So like one of them, and Rashad calls this out, is in Surah 7, verse 69, the word basatan. So even though this word is written with a sin in their standardized text, they write it with a sod. And apparently it has to do with some hadith saying that, oh, this word, even though it's pronounced with a sin, the root is with a sin, it has to be written with a sod. But this basically now makes the sod counts in Surah 7, 38, and 14, basically off by 1. Right. So, and we see that the older manuscripts, they basically also wrote it with a scene. Even in the recitation, they put a little vowel marking telling them that, hey, you're supposed to recite this the sound of a scene as opposed to a sod. So it's like, this stuff, this is the kind of things that the granularity that Code 19 does. That, we don't have these questions regarding these nuances.
Okay, so so it sounds like even the Hafs is not the totally like completely accurate. Is there one, you said older manuscripts, is there one that is more accurate or no?
I think this is you shouldn't be thinking of it in that way, right? these are how do you put it? Subtleties regarding like the spelling, right? It doesn't really change the recitation because Hafs is a recitation. Where you put the pauses, where you basically the vowels and stuff like that. That's in the recitation. What I'm
Okay.
talking about, these are things that say, for instance, like if I say Basatan, and that would be written with a scene, but they say, you know what, it's pronounced with a scene, just like the recitation, but we decided to write it with a sod, right? Or
Okay.
noon is new while noon, right? It doesn't change the recitation, right?
Okay. Okay. So the rest for the recitation, the halves is accurate. Um, and then is there like a text version that has like the scene instead of the thought for that verse, like that has
Yeah,
everything
yeah. I mean, you'll
accurately?
find it in manuscripts, but this concept of like, oh, hey, this is the one manuscript that is like perfect, like that doesn't exist, right?
That doesn't exist.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, because it's like, all these manuscripts are written by, at least the ones that we have, right? They're written by men, they're fallible. But Code 19 basically says, okay, give me any of these, and from Code 19, in addition to the other preservation mechanisms, we can show any of these points of dispute, which one the correct one is.
But there's no perfect one. And they all probably have like the last two verses in them, right? Like I mean, of Surah 9, they're not
Not
like
necessarily, because the oldest manuscripts, we don't have complete compilations of all of them, right? So there's folios missing, there's portions, right?
Okay.
So to say that all of them, it's like that's just, we just can't say that because we have a limited number, right, that we're looking at.
Okay. Okay, so the half recitation is correct. And so for that one, it's and of course I totally trust Dr. Khalifa's pronunciation, but in talking to somebody else, it's helpful to kind of know these things. Somebody who's not kind of in our community at this time. So it's Malik. Because there's Malik, and there's like I was
Moloch.
told, there's the different ways to pronounce
Yeah,
that.
so Malik means master. Moloch means king. You'll see like in some translations, not translations, recitations, they'll basically say king of the universe. At the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal, because the concept is, if you look, it says Rab al Alamin. Rab is Lord, right? Lord is a lower status than either Malik or Moloch. Because a king or a master is just of a higher status than whatever a lord. That's why it says Lord of the universe, Master of the Day of Judgment. Meaning, like in this world, God is giving a worldly authority to individuals. They can make their decisions, they can choose to speak, they can choose what they believe. But coming to the Day of Judgment, the only one who's making any decisions at that point is God. No one else has any say in the matter.
Yeah, mashallah. And so that's Malik, right?
The Malik, yeah, so the Malik is basically master. It's got like the dagger out.
Okay. It's got the little aleph on top of it,
Yeah,
right? Okay. Rather than Malik, which would be king.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, praise God. Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Totally confusing. It's Malik versus Moloch. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's like, here, I'm gonna pull up the actual thing, because it might be just Malik
The
versus
actual is
Malik, right?
Maliki. It's Maliki Yawmiddin, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's different recitations, and some of the different recitations, rather than master, it uses the term for king. So this is what, like, say Sunnis, they say, oh, look, you guys can't, which one is the correct one? You guys are Quran alone, you don't have the answer, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, for anyone who's a submitter who believes in Code 19, it's like, no, we have an answer, right? Because Code 19 corresponds with the what's known as the Hafs recitation.
Yeah, so because some people say Malik Yawmiddin versus Malik Yawmiddin, if I understood this this whole thing correctly. And so yeah, and it was said to me that there's a different ways to pronounce this. and so that I wanted to get clarity on that. And mashallah, it's the Hafs recitation which Dr. Khalifa used, which is Malike Yawmiddin. That's the correct pronunciation, not Malik. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Dude, Brother Naveed, and everyone for their input on this. Praise God. Very helpful. MashaAllah. While we're on this, can I ask one other thing? It was also said to me that it should be like Iyaka na'bud rather than na'budu. Like that's the correct pronunciation. Somebody said that. Is there anything that makes that clear? Like, it seems like the Hafs recitation. So, Brother Dude, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
So is that like the Hafs, like when I pull up the Arabic on our
You know, I'll play it right now. Tell me if you can hear it.
can't hear anything yet.